What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Transfer Tuesday. So there's a few we've got to get through today, so let's get into it. Let's not waste any more time. So Aguero at Man City, obviously 32 years old. He's out of favour a lot nowadays. He's getting quite a few injuries. His body is not holding up as much as it probably should be, but he's kind of fell out of favour at City as well. And it's likely that he's going to move on a free. Now, there's a few clubs interested in him, Inter being one, Inter Milan, but also Barcelona and PSG. I think I could picture him at Barcelona. I think just the way he plays, his style, that low sense of gravity and quick touches, and I could definitely see him fitting in at Barcelona despite being in his older years now. I don't think he would suit PSG, if I'm honest. And Inter Milan, I don't really see that either, even though they're saying that I think out of them three teams that they're the ones that are after him the most. I just personally couldn't see him at Inter Milan, especially how they're playing as well at the moment. I don't think he would fit in there necessarily, but I think out of them three, Barcelona would be the best option for him, even though that they're struggling and going through it themselves at the moment. I think just in terms of style and how your team plays, I think Barcelona would suit him the best, but the big thing in this is that whoever he goes to, it's likely that he's going to move on a free. Now, that's crazy. I mean, one of the best strikers ever to be in the Premiership and in Europe, even when he was at Atletico. So that's crazy to think, regardless of his age, that he will most likely leave on a free and they're not going to make no money from it. I know it's Man City and they're not desperate for money, do you know what I mean? But it's just crazy to think that he's going to go most likely free as well. So imagine being the team that picks him up on a free. You're going to be... Talk about bargain hunt. Like, that's crazy. It's arguable how many years he's got left, but I would risk it and take him because I think he's that quality. Aguero to either maybe Inter, Barcelona or PSG. Second up, we got Mehmet Dahoud, 25-year-old German playmaker, targeted by Man City, Chelsea, Everton and Tottenham. And his deal with Borussia Dortmund is until June 2022. So, look, I haven't seen a lot of him. I've seen bits of him in the past, but not enough to comment on like how he plays and that. But look, if there's several teams after you in the Premiership as well, then you're obviously doing a lot right. And as I said, City, Chelsea, Everton and Spurs are all interested in him. So I'm not sure how much they're going to want for him. Both of these stories, by the way, are coming from Transfer Market Web, the Aguero one and Dahoud. From Transfer Market Web. As I said, I haven't seen a great deal of him, so I can't comment too much on his style of play and which of them teams he would suit the most. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the Premiership, especially if that many teams are linked with him. So, Daily Mirror, this one is coming from, and it is Arsenal and Tottenham interested in Lucas Vazquez from Real Madrid. Used as a bit of a utility player, I remember. They even played him at right back, but I think originally he was listed as a winger. Not sure where he's playing for them now in terms of positionally, but he's definitely like a utility player, a squad player, can play in various positions, which is a valuable asset. I don't necessarily know if he would suit the Premiership if he did come here. I think the pace might be a bit much for him. Technically, I think he's pretty good from what I remember. Nothing outstanding, but do you know what I mean? A good enough level. But I just think, I don't know, maybe he would suit it because he's like that utility player, as I said. He's more industrial, how he plays, from what I remember of him. So just having that work rate and that would probably put him in good stead. But I think he would struggle with the speed, if I'm honest, of the league over here. So that one is coming from the Daily Mirror. He hasn't sorted his contract with Madrid either, so it's looking likely that he's going to move on regardless of whether he goes to the Premiership or not. His contract is running out and he hasn't sorted a new one, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. And the next one is from Sportsmole. Our from Lyon, Juventus and Liverpool have both been linked with him. It says that Juventus are prepared to pay 34 million for him, but it's also talks that he is interested in a move for PSG. So, being that he's French, it would be definitely more easier for him to just move to PSG. Considering that he plays in France, he's French, and he plays for Lyon. It's not going to be too much of a big up and move, whereas it would be if you've got to move countries to come to England or Italy. So, good player. I haven't seen a great ton of him either, but I have seen a bit of him in the past, and he looks good, if I've got to be honest. So, I think he would suit Liverpool, and I do think that he would add something to Juventus as well. So, it'd be interesting if either of those get him, but I do see someone coming in for him because he's been linked with clubs for a few years now, and he definitely does look good, and it looks like he has a lot to offer. So, Aouar from Lyon, but Juventus look like they might be slight favourites to get him for 34 million. But as I said, there's talks that he wants to go to PSG, so wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And then lastly, there's talks that Borussia Dortmund are in for Timo Werner. Now, probably the flop of the season for me so far. Havertz as well. I think I read the other day Chelsea spent like 230 million in the transfer market last season to get these players in. Havertz and Werner have been shocking in my opinion, but especially Werner. I saw quite a bit of him at Leipzig and for Germany, and I was excited when they signed him, even though I'm not a Chelsea fan. Just in terms of a football fan and getting to watch players, I was excited because what I've seen of him previously was very good. But he's just not got up to whatever it is. I don't know if it's the speed or it's a mentality thing or a confidence thing, but he's just not. It's not happening for him, and it's a shame because even though I'm not a Chelsea fan, I still am a fan of football, and I want to see good players against the likes of my team like Manchester United. So it's a shame that he's not hitting the heights, but it's good for the likes of us. Do you know what I mean? Because it helps us, especially when we're not spending that sort of money. But they've spent that money and it's not worked out. So Timo Werner being linked with Borussia Dortmund, apparently they're interested in him. So that'd be interesting to keep an eye on. Obviously, it would mean a move back to Germany for him, which he's probably more comfortable with, being that he come from Leipzig and he's German. So I think he would be more at home at Dortmund naturally. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. The only thing I would say is that he's only been at Chelsea for a short period. So I'm not sure how long his contract is at Chelsea. But if he continues to have performances like he has been, this move could happen. Even though he's only been at Chelsea a short period, I wouldn't be surprised because of how it's played out. So Dortmund are going in for Werner, and it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. Because previously I would have said that Bayern Munich were interested in him, but not after seeing how he's performed at Chelsea. I think they'll be very wary of that now. So, as I said, I don't know who. There's probably other clubs that are interested in him, but the one that I've read this morning is that Dortmund are in for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. But only thing is he's only been at Chelsea a short period, so he might want to just give himself more time and prove himself a bit more. But look, some teams and players just don't click, and it could be that with Werner. So that's it for today's show, guys. I will be back next week with some more transfer news. I'll see you then.